If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with all my latest videos.
Well, hey guys, welcome to Life with Gaz. In this week's episode I'm going to do a catch it, cook it and eat it for whiting. Now, we've all probably caught loads of whiting. They're the most numerous fish that I catch up here off the Blackpool coast. And catching them isn't too difficult. I've caught them on little small hooks like this one just here, which is a size 2.0. I've caught them on 4.0s, I've caught them on 6.0s, and I've even once had one on a great big 8.0 like that. Now, this means that they're not particularly fussy or difficult to catch. If you did want to go out and target these guys, a little bit of light on there doesn't go amiss. Glow in the dark beads, they seem to follow them. Fish baits, they seem to follow them as well. But in terms of catching them, I've caught them on almost every bait I can imagine, and I've caught them on almost every style of rig as well when these fish are here. But what I do with the fish once I've caught them, any which are in size, is I bring them home to eat. And I'm going to just take you guys through one of the recipes which I used when I'm actually eating whiting at home. So I hope you guys enjoy it, because it's a Thai red curry whiting style.
So here's a little montage to catching whiting. Now, I very rarely actually go out and target these fish. I do on occasion, but not too often, because these guys are so numerous in their obviously abundance around Blackpool that I can catch them fairly easy without having to target them specifically. Now, having said that, I managed to catch 67 of these guys in 2019, which obviously has only just gone, and all of these fish, these guys were just caught when I was fishing for other fish species themselves. Now, whiting in the wild, they obviously vary in size. You can catch tiny little pin whiting about the size of your little finger, and a few years ago there was an actual whiting caught out of the Bristol Channel on a boat, which I think was up around the 6 or 7 pound mark. It was absolutely huge, and this fish was not even resembling a whiting to me, because they just really don't get that big. But whiting themselves are a fish that people can sometimes become annoyed with, because if you're out fishing for cod, these guys will take quite large hooks, so getting a hook size out there these guys can't take can be quite difficult. But what I'm going to do here is let you guys watch out to the end of this little segment, and after this whiting montage, the last fish in this one is my biggest whiting, my PB, and that one weighed a pound, and that one was caught in 2018.
Well, after that montage of putting whiting on the beach and up on the wall, it's time for me. I've made it back to the kitchen. Let's see what I can make out of these guys.
After catching whiting, the first thing I do is put them in the fridge, and this is just to give them a bit of time for the flesh to firm up to help fill it in. And the first cut is just behind the head, down through the spine, and then I just basically tear the rest of the body out, and that takes out everything from the head all through the body cavity to the anus as well. The next cut is following the fins down the back of the body until you pass the body cavity itself. This is where the ribs stop. Then I put the knife all the way through, turn it down towards the spine, and then run it along the back, and that relieves the bottom half of the fillet. Next I cut through the pin bones and then guide the knife around past the rib cage to get as much meat off of the fish as possible. And finally, just trimming out that little bit on the belly as well. Now once I've got both fillets off, then what I do is I go back to get the pin bones out. Now as these bones are so small, unlike with some of the bigger fish where I use a pair of tweezers, what I do is I just cut a thin strip out either side of the pin bones, and that gets rid of all of them in one go. And now the fillet's boneless, then I need to make it skinless as well. And to skin this fillet, all I do is I turn it round, start at the tail end, leave a tiny little bit of meat on the skin itself, so something for me to hold on to. Then I drop the knife in, put it flat against the chopping board, and with not too much of a saw in action, just enough to get the knife to move, then what I do is I take the knife between the skin and the meat itself to relieve the skin in one go. And once I've got both fillets off of the fish, all skinned and boned and ready to go, what I'll do is I'll put them in the freezer for a couple of weeks just to let these guys mature a little bit, and I think it really does a lot for their flavour. Now if you are going to take whiting home, make sure that they're in size, and all your size limits can be found at British Sea Fishing, and make sure that you're not taking undersized fish because that's not great for the ecosystem. People have commented in a positive way on the way which I fillet fish and how I get these guys done, and really this is one of those skills which is passed down from father to son. And here's our dad here showing off with a little carp, and next we've got him with a 21-pound pollock which he got off a rectal trip down off the south coast. Awesome fish. So let's start this curry off, and the first ingredient is a white onion. Now all I do is just dice this one up and I put it in the pan with just a little bit of oil whilst I start doing some of the prep for some of the other veggies in this dish. Once the onions are in that pan, I leave them to slowly brown off, and then I get ready to start prepping the rest of my veg, which consists of a sliced red pepper, sliced yellow pepper and some mange too, just left old. So that's all the veg prepped. The onions have been in there and they've started to soften and brown off. All the red peppers and mange too are just going to sit and wait on a chopping board to later on in this dish when I need them. But next what I'm going to do is add a cup of basmati rice into the onions, followed by about half a jar of Thai red curry paste. Now this depends on how hot or cold you like it, and if you like it really hot, obviously put more in. If you want it a bit more mild, don't put quite as much in. And then I'm going to mix into that as well some coconut milk just straight out of a tin, and this will just start cooking off with the rice before I start introducing the stock to sort of obviously give the rice enough liquid to soak up. So for the stock, nice and simple, I don't make it myself. I buy a pre-made stock which I just dilute with some water, exactly what I'm doing here. Now the stock I got here is fish stock and it goes lovely. And that can just be poured straight in. I've got enough rice that I know I'm going to need to add more liquid to it anyway, so I'll just leave a boiled kettle on the side on standby for when that rice just starts to dry out, and if it's not cooked enough I'll start adding the water then. So keep testing the rice as you go, but in reality it takes around about 20 minutes for that rice to start getting to the point where it's about cooked. And about this point, 5 minutes away from the end of actual cooking itself, this is where I add the veg. And next we get to the final ingredient, the reason why this whole video started in the first place, the whiting. Now I've got 6 whiting fillets, so obviously fillets from 3 fish, and I cut these into chunks around about 1 inch long, and then I put them in with around about 2 minutes left of cooking time, and this fish is done when it starts to flake apart. Now the reason why this is the last ingredient that goes in is you want it to stay as chunks of fish, not just turn to mush in that pan, which is what fish will do if you keep playing about with it once it's cooked. All in all, this meal took around about 35 minutes to cook. That goes from prep all the way through to cooking and to plating up. So it doesn't take long and it tastes fantastic. If you want to try this recipe at home, then here's a quick ingredients list so you know what you're getting.
Well guys, I've finished now cooking, I've plated up, and that looks absolutely fantastic. So let's give that whiting that little taste test. And that is absolute perfection. Now if you guys have liked this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button down here. Check out my latest fishing video up there, my playlist up top, and my Catch It Cook and Eat It playlist above me here.